Welcome back to the Screaming Idiots Show, everybody, wherever you are and however you may be listening. We thank you for tuning in. That's as fucking generic as we're going to get tonight. So, happy to be back in the studio as always, and I hope you guys have enjoyed Season 2 so far. It's been a fun one. We've had a couple great guests on, and have had some deep and emotional conversations that are always, somewhat difficult to get vulnerable and talk about, but at the same time, it's good to talk about those things. And this episode is going to be nothing fucking like that. So we're not going to get emotional tonight.
As we drink tea with honey in it.
I don't know, from what you've told me about a particular question you would like to ask me.
Yeah, well, I might have lied about getting emotional because old T Skittles over here might get a little in his feels when we come to
I have heard rumors it will test our friendship.
Yeah, so we'll give you a little bit of show rundown tonight. We're just going to shoot the shit about a couple different things here in the open segment, and then we're going to get to some personalized this or that's. I've come up with one for Tyler for Preston for me. So we're really going to make each other think and maybe possibly ruin some friendships. Also got some good old-fashioned heavy metal hot takes we're going to dive into as well. But enough of that shit. Let's just let her rip. I want you guys to let us know what you think of the audio. Now, for our longtime listeners, you know that we dropped a bag, got some new mics, mic stands, cords, all that fun shit to improve audio quality. But Tyler over here, being the master audio editor that he is,
I don't know about master. But
well, we're going to find out by what the listeners tell us.
novice.
Started to what? A novice?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fair. I'm a novice video editor.
Fuck yeah, you are,
Yeah.
bro. Hell
Some
yeah.
novice had a lot of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what your wife tells me.
Pretty fucking mediocre. Pretty mediocre.
You're a shitty guitar player.
Here we go.
Here we go, drinking my tea.
All right.
So Tyler started panning the audio to make it sound like we each have our own space. Because, his point was when you listen to a lot of shows, typically it all kind of sounds jumbled and like it's on top of each other. And just like all podcasts, we have a tendency to talk over each other. And when he pans the audio, we kind of all have our own space. So it's not just some big garbled, sound. So hopefully you guys like it. If you absolutely fucking hate it and enough of you hate it, let us know. We'll change it. So give us your opinions on that. I like it, but Preston, you're a little skeptical of it. So
I think I just got confused listening to it in the car the other day.
it scared you.
Bam, bam, bam.
Why am I in the passenger door? What the fuck? Yeah.
So yeah, I've had to play around with kind of the mixing of the audio just because I've never done it on this kind of platform before. So trying to figure out, what's the best way to EQ. I have found that each person's voice makes it a little different, so I can't just say, all right, here's the EQ, I'm gonna just copy paste for everybody. I'm like, well, that gives me a baseline, then I gotta play with it from there.
Right.
And I think part of it was, the first few episodes I didn't care as much.
That's
I was
fair.
like, after the first episode, someone said it sounded good, and I was like, we did nothing. Nothing to make that sound good.
Bro, you had it bounce to me like next day.
Yeah. And we were just using like typical like live vocal mics.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, well, I know I want everybody to have their own space. It makes sense when you're mixing to do it that way. And I had started panning everybody like really far apart.
I think on Derek's episode, we were way out there.
So what it was is on Derek's episode, that was the first one I mixed it with my studio monitors. Because the other ones, the first three, I just did based on headphones. And I think that gave me a better, without realizing it, that was a better representation of how people are going to listen to the podcast than me listening to it on studio monitors. No one's going to be blaring this through a big stereo system in their living room.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Although that'd be metal as fuck.
It would be metal as fuck. I would greatly appreciate that.
Yeah.
That'd give me a feeling of accomplishment.
Yeah. No, I think this is kind of, I know we're kind of rambling about audio here, but I think this could be useful for anybody that's doing a podcast, starting out on that, or just a local band that's starting to do maybe some of their own recordings, like we had talked about Screaming Evidence doing. So
Mhm.
I think you gotta fuck with it. You gotta trial and error, man.
Yeah, so I had forgot a very cardinal rule I learned in school, which was you have to take into consideration how your audience is listening to the audio
Yeah.
when you're mixing and mastering.
Okay.
And I really didn't think of that when I started blasting it through my,
anyways, you
studio
started
monitor.
blasting.
So anyways, I started
I
blasting.
started blasting. And when I'm listening on the monitors, like everything still sounds like here. And then I put it on like just my computer speakers, and it was like this
Spread eagle.
spread eagle,
Mm-hmm.
like cheeks and all. But
As I sip my tea.
But yeah, so then I asked the question to you guys, like, what do you think of this? Because I wasn't sure if it sounded bad, and just no one told me.
Yeah. I haven't had anybody, which if you're nervous to critique us, please don't, because
Bring it on.
we haven't gotten any criticism yet, which I guess is a good thing, but
Hey, any professional
No, that means
audio
we don't
guy
have
would
enough
be like,
listeners.
yeah, that's
That
probably
means
true.
we don't have enough people listening.
any professional audio guy would be like, bro, your gate's fucked up.
Give
Mhm.
me all the hate.
You got
Bring
too
it
much
on.
compression on it.
All the gain.
You don't have enough compression on it.
So, yeah, if anybody thinks the audio sucks, please let us know what we can do to make it better, a better listening experience for you. We want it to be silky smooth.
Mm.
So, but yeah, there's our little Tweedledee Tweedledum on our audio. So speaking, talking about how some of that information could help, local bands that are starting to do their own recordings and stuff like that. Tyler, you had a great topic of discussion before we recorded the pod, and I want to dive into that. And you posed the question of, what local bands do you think are doing things well, and why? So I think that's an interesting topic because we, one local band, you guys, and a big part of why we started this show was to help spotlight some of that. And I think this is a great opportunity to spotlight some of those local and up and coming bands. Don't have to be local to here in Ohio, but Tyler, what bands did you have in mind when you started thinking about this?
So, I was just kind of brainstorming ideas, and I was trying to think of ways to bring up local artists, as we have a few times here, but do it in a little more interesting way,
A little more in depth.
And as a local artist, look, if you're a local artist in a band or whatever, you have undoubtedly seen another local band that you feel is on the same level as you, playing a better show than you, and you get a little jealous.
Mm-hmm.
Or you see them doing something really cool, you get a little jealous. And it's like, ooh, how do I do that?
How do I do that?
Mhm.
How do
What do I
I And so you start really looking at, what they're doing and how they're doing it. And, that shouldn't be something. I see a lot of egos get involved out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they, people are like, oh, we're better than them. We should be doing this or that, and fuck them guys. And
Very competitive.
I see a lot of shit like that out there, which kind of pisses me off because I'm like, we're all just jamming, bro. Like, chill the fuck out.
Right.
But I still feel that little something. And there's a couple bands that we've actually played with a few times that came to mind when I kind of asked that question. One would be Desolate. Really awesome guys. They've brought us on to a lot of shows. We've played a lot of shows with them. They have like a grungy sound,
It's pretty refreshing too.
kind of a post grunge.
Mhm.
I think they covered a Seether song and it sounded perfect.
Yeah.
I was like, that is a great representation, a great reference point for
Mhm.
these guys. And from there, we've kind of followed each other and try to help each other out as much as we can. Sometimes I think they do more for us than we do for them. But I think that's because they're doing more.
Sure.
And so they get out there and they're constantly booking shows, they're constantly putting out content, and they're staying relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Which we've talked about on previous episodes of, that.
Right. And you just build and build momentum. But I think part of why they do so well on the business side is because Nick actually works in music business to a certain capacity.
I apologize.
He helps. I think he works for a promotion company, and they
Mm-hmm.
book shows, bring artists around on tours and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's done that for a long time, so he's very familiar with the music business, and he's probably developed a lot of connections. And I think what they're doing out there is really awesome.
How long has Desolate been doing it? I mean, just as a band.
So the first show we played with Desolate, they had a different lineup, and this was back when this is the first show that we played when I moved back from the Navy, and it was just me, Sean, and Scotty. There were songs that I was playing bass on, and then songs I would switch over to guitar on, depending if there was any lead on the song or not.
With no bass behind it?
No bass behind it.
Mm.
And so that kind of shows, goes back to, I think it was Derek's conversation about how adding additional people has helped the rest of us shine, because I couldn't do much lead work on that first album because like I didn't know if I was going to be playing
guitar,
or bass
yeah.
on that song, and then you can only do so much with leads without a bass to carry the low end of a song playing it live. It was like, man, this sucks. But no, that show was 2015, I think.
Okay.
And I think they had been around for a little while. And then they went through a bit of a lineup change, and I think they went on like about a year hiatus sort of thing, if I'm not mistaken.
Better than a year hiatus.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, yeah, I didn't see much of them for like a year, and then they started hitting us up about doing shows together again.
Just kind of out of nowhere?
Kind of out of nowhere. And we've just developed this really cool relationship with these guys.
Yeah.
And, help each other out.
Okay. So Desolate, go check those guys out. I think you mentioned another one. You got to...
Yeah, so Sour Blood.
Yeah, of course. Yep.
So another example of a local band that does their business side of things well. I mean,
and they've been doing it a long time too.
Oh yeah, and I
Like-
think that's why they're so good at
15 plus years.
Yeah, because a couple of the members were actually part of a pretty big local band years and years ago called Once Pure, and they kind of went
Yeah, I remember
about as
hearing-
far as you can go before you start
Yeah.
breaking through the wall, I think, and maybe get on the level of some of these bands that aren't huge, but they might
Big
be
enough.
popping up in your
Yeah.
shuffle and everything. But I mean they've been doing it for fucking ever, and I think their ability to really get on some awesome bills is impressive, because a lot of those types of shows, like, you have to show that you can bring a certain fan base with you to each show.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're a band like us out in the middle of fucking nowhere, and you're asking your people to go to these big shows in Columbus, Cincinnati, Dayton, whatever,
Wherever. Yeah.
like, it's hard to deliver on that,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of them, it's like they want you to sell 50 tickets or you don't get booked again.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cutthroat like that.
Can you kind of, just like you did with Desolate, can you kind of explain Sour Blood style, genre, things like that for the listeners?
To me, bro, it's just metal.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of them have that kind of like deathcore kind of influence. Um, Obviously listen to metalcore. I'm pretty sure a lot of them are fans of some of those old school metal,
Yeah.
metalcore bands. I've really only listened to them live though.
That's fair.
They released their one album and I listened through it, and at the time I just wasn't in a metal mood.
Sure.
So I'd gone like a 3-month stint where all I wanted to listen to was like alternative shit
Mm-hmm.
and reggae and stuff.
They put on a really, really good live show.
They do. They have a lot of
I've
energy.
I've
Yep.
seen them live several times. Just
Super tight.
you guys are on the bill with them a lot.
Mhm.
And they're really energetic, like really, really energetic.
Brad's a badass drummer too.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
So he's probably the
Their
only
guitar
other
players
guy.
ain't no slouch either.
No, he's not. He gets
There's
in
two
there.
of 'em. They're
Yeah,
both
they're
good.
both good.
Yep.
I think they keep going through bassist though.
Yeah.
I think they have
really.
a hard time keeping a bassist.
Well, they had a different guy there at the last show you guys played with him.
Yeah, their regular basis. He's a photographer, and I think he was on a shoot or something that night or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, it's weird, man. There's not a lot of bassists out there. Not a lot of dedicated bassists to be able to play what they need you to play.
Dude, we could go down a huge wormhole with that right now. I'm gonna try not to, but when you think about what instruments kids are picking up these days, it's not a bass.
It's not a bass.
And the reason for that, in my opinion, is there's no Cliff Burtons running around. There's no Geddy Lees running around. There's no, who you name Flea. I mean, all those guys are, except Cliff, obviously, they're still alive, but they're not to prominence, right? Geezer Butler from Black Sabbath. There's so many iconic bassists from the 70s and 80s and even the 90s. And man, there's just like all these metal and metalcore bands out right now. The bass is so far in the background you don't even know it's there. It is not. There's no
Yep.
bass, and
It
some of
makes
these
me
dudes
wanna
like
cry.
Polaris bassist is
He's a
fucking
bad
insane.
fucking dude. Yep.
Nobody knows who he is.
Yep.
It's weird. It's almost like
Yep.
bass players aren't cool anymore, like they used to be.
They've
some of the
never
cool-
been cool, bro.
That's not.
Yeah.
I would disagree with you 100% because
Cliff was cool, of course.
Newstead, Dave Elfson from Megadeth, Steve Harris from Iron Maiden, Nikki Sixx. I mean, even the glam metal band bassists. Like, there were so many cool. Blackie Lawless from Wasp. There were some fucking awesome bassists that were super cool back in the day. So I would
I
disagree.
think there's a lot of cool bassists now. It's just
It's
no
not
one cares.
spotlighted. Yeah.
people, kids picking up an instrument. There's just not that push.
Did they ever want to pick up a bass though?
Man, I'm
I'll
telling
tell you what.
I'll tell you what.
If you don't play at least 2 instruments, you're wrong.
Oh, I guess I'm wrong.
Fuck me.
Because
I guess I'll just go fuck myself. I'm a shitty guitarist, so I guess I only play half an
so
instrument.
I don't mean it like that.
You
I
do
mean,
know 4 chords
look,
though.
even if you
BDSM, baby.
So look, if you at least play around with another instrument. Play around with that instrument for a week. And then come back and fuck with the guitar. And you'll notice shit change. So
you stop getting pussy or what?
No, so I mean I think becoming a bass player for Screaming Evidence, we've kind of talked about the story. It was abrupt. It was weird for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that made me a better guitarist.
Oh, I guarantee you it did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that is the perception you have of that fretboard when you're playing bass versus when you're playing guitar is completely different.
Sure.
But why distinguish? It's the same fucking strings. You just have the top 4 of them. Same tuning. All the notes are the same. Why can't I take things that I would maybe normally do on the guitar and do it on the bass? Or why not take something I
'Cause it
might
don't
do
sound
on
right.
the bass and do on the guitar, change it up a little bit, but let that influence me because you will look at the fretboard of
Yeah.
each differently.
Yeah.
And the same thing with piano. I'd fuck around with piano and I'm doing shit with my hands that I've never done before. And then I picked up the bass, like I was doing piano for like a month, just solid. And then I picked up the bass. Holy fuck, the shit that came out of my hands on that bass guitar was crazy to me. It was so different than what I had normally done, but it sounded cool as
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah.
Well, when you think about multi-instrumental musicians, right? You think about the John Mayers, the Keith Urbans, the guys like that that play multiple different stringed instruments, or like, you know, like you said, being able to play piano or being able to drum or anything like that. I think the more that you do of that, the more talented you're going to become, just because you're going to look at things differently but similar. Just like you said about, you know, why can't I do something on the bass that I do on the guitar? So, you know, me, myself, personally, I love coming in here and picking up your bass and just fucking playing a couple notes on it, but I don't know how to play bass. But really, I do. I just have never done it. So I would agree with that sentiment. And yeah, I probably need to start fucking around on a bass more. And hell, you never know, might end up liking playing bass more.
Dude, I love playing bass. I have found that I actually enjoy playing bass live more than I do the guitar.
Really?
And I think part of that is I feel so much less pressure, both because I joke around about it a lot, but like if I ever fuck up, I can just hit that top string open, and as long as they don't hear the bass cut out, they'll never know.
No.
They'll never know.
Anybody with an IEM will.
Look, for the music we play, the C note is in almost every scale that we play out of.
I don't even know what the C note is.
The top
It's
string
$100
open.
bill.
Oh, yeah, I know that note.
So if I hit that open, I have a 99.9% chance of being in the key,
I'm not going to get shot.
and it carries out the low end
Just
long
never
enough
stop
for me
playing.
to figure out where I'm at so I can get back into the flow. And the crowd never knows because the crowd's not really listening to what the bass is playing. They just want to know that it's there.
It's like a condom.
Because look, when I
really
wanna
don't like
add-
the idea of it, but you got to know that it's there.
Yeah. So when so look,
BDSM.
the only way I can bring like emphasis to the bass is when I like cut out on notes and like do more of a staccato style. Because outside of that, like people just feel it. They're like, yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
Cool. But when you cut
Condom.
out, they're like, what happened?
Condom. You know when it's there, but when it's not, you're like, oh, where'd you go?
Play that fucking condom, boy.
I got me a 4-string condom. Okay, so Preston, what local bands, up and coming bands, do you think are doing it well and why?
So I got a couple. There's a band that a buddy of mine is in. Took me a while to even realize that he was in this band for whatever reason. But a band known by the name of Breathing Theory.
Okay.
And most of the members, or a few of the members, are out of Florida, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a couple guys that live here in Ohio that are with the band. One of my buddy Kagan King, he's the drummer for those guys. Constantly putting out content, touring, playing shows quite a bit, and then they're always putting out new music.
Yeah.
Always putting out new music. I think they've released 3 songs in the last 4 to 5 months, if I'm not mistaken.
Momentum.
Um,
It's huge.
kind of I would say Breaking Benjamin influences.
I would.
What would you guys say influence or a sound?
Breaking Benjamin.
Yeah,
I mean, but
definitely that.
not like a dead ringer for Breaking Benjamin, but you can hear that. I
Yeah.
would almost say Godsmack too, and some of
Okay.
their verses. They might listen to this pod and go, "What the fuck's he talking about?" But that's just how I'm interpreting it. and I love Godsmack, so that's a compliment. But yeah, no, definitely that more harder,
Hard
heavier
rock.
dad rock, like on the heavier spectrum of dad rock, like a Breaking Benjamin. So I like him a lot.
Yeah, I'm starting to enjoy it now that I've actually given it a chance. It's popped up on my Instagram a bunch, and I must be friends with one of the guys, but just didn't realize it.
Yeah.
But I keep seeing it, and I'm like, well, Preston's been talking about it, and then we showed up here for the recording. We started playing a few songs, and I was
Get some good stuff.
I was
dude.
Damn,
like,
that shit
fuck
kinda-
yeah,
That's some good
dude.
This shit
stuff.
kind of slaps.
Yep.
But I would say they're definitely relatable to Breaking Benjamin, and I was kind of explaining it to you guys earlier, just where they're taking what like is being played musically in metal and adding more of like rock vocals
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
And they're kind of doing the same thing, but metal's a little different now. So their sound is obviously different. It's more of modern metal with modern rock vocals.
Mm-hmm.
And
Dude's got pipes on him.
he does.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
Dude, I fucking dig it.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
Like we've talked about it a lot on this show, but like dad rock for the fucking win, bro.
Oh, always. I've been in a alt rock, dad rock kind of mood the whole like last week. So these guys
Why
fit
am I-
right into that.
Why am I slightly confused on what we are considering dad rock? Are you guys considering dad rock like
Butt
Seether,
rock.
Yeah, butt rock,
Seether and
Shine
okay.
Down,
Okay.
Breaking Benjamin, Godsmack, Crossfade,
Seether,
or
Okay.
Stained.
Stained, Creed.
Fuck yes.
Yeah, that's all
Okay.
dad rock.
Okay. Yeah,
Just-
so that would be
No, not Disturbed. Sorry.
right.
They're a little.
And that's why I feel Breaking Benjamin wasn't that either, but maybe I'm wrong. So that would be one band. Shout out Breathing Theory, and then another one is Dread Engine, and they're out of
Oh,
Columbus,
yes.
Ohio. Seen them 3 different times. Played with them 2 different times, if I'm not mistaken. These dudes put on a hell of a show. A hell of a show. I
Their
remember the
bassist
first.
is cool, bro.
Yeah, they're good dudes. Real good dudes.
We're gonna bring it back full circle.
Bring it
more
back full
more of a
circle.
metalcore style. Got some harsh vocals, and then have some cleans. Jake, the guitar player, he does the cleans for me, and he does a good job. I
I think
remember
he has
the
a good
first.
voice.
Yeah, he does. I remember the first time I had seen him live, and they like brought their own sound guy with them, and he was out in the middle of the crowd like checking their sound, and I was all confused, like, oh, mate, these guys are the real deal. They're not messing around. But yeah, Dread Engine, their last album, I absolutely love. Almost every song to me, I jam all the damn time on that last album. So
Yeah, I mean, we talk. I'm going to bring it back to dude's voice. Jake, you said his name.
I think
was?
his name's Jake, if I'm not mistaken.
Terrible with names. Don't hate me, but you and I have listened to a few bands where it's like we appreciated what the vocalist was able to do, staying in his range and not trying to do something he can't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's found his range. He's found what he can do within that range to stay interesting. I like his voice.
Yeah, definitely. I don't really
And
have.
it's always, oh, dude, it's always the scrawny kid that
Every
sounds
time.
like Satan himself has
Yes.
possessed the boy
Yeah.
and grabbed a microphone and said, fucking roar.
Do the roar.
Yeah.
Do it.
You got a hell of a holler on you, boy.
Shout out Ryan.
Dude, as soon as I seen him, I was like, yeah, he's a screamer.
Yeah.
I think the first time we seen him was at
It might
Barnyard
have
Bash.
been Barnyard a couple years ago.
And
if
I
I'm not
seen this
mistaken.
kid walking in the crowd, and he had his long hair, and he's like this short, scrawny kid, and I'm like, that dude is a screamer for a metal band. He's about to blow me the fuck away.
Yeah.
It's always the skinny dudes that can scream and can fight. It's always the skinny dudes. So, needless to say, I
They're
can't scream
wiry.
or fight. I'm working on both, I promise. So, I've got two. First one, I'm gonna go really local and up and coming. Second one, I've talked about before, and they're just relatively new. But first one is Waste of White out of Ohio. Are they Columbus?
East side.
East-
Well, 45 minutes east of Columbus, probably.
I think they're from close to Zanesville.
Zanesville.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, Waste of White, and I came across them when you guys played a show with them at Muddy Creek, and I was instantly like, oh fuck,
Mhm.
these dudes rip. More of a metalcore, thrashy kind. They're kind of their own thing. I mean, they got some killer screams, but they play a lot of fast shit. And I love like raspy vocals that still
Yes.
sound really good. And Daniel just kills that vibe.
Mm-hmm.
It kills that vibe. That's a terrible way to put it, but like he's so good at that raspy where he's almost screaming, but he's not. He's actually singing, and it's just this super harsh, gritty sound.
He kills it at that vibe.
Yeah, and it just goes so well with their music.
3-piece, that is.
And God, they've got great music out. They put on a great live show. They're playing it right now. They play a ton of live shows, and they're just good ass dudes. I can't speak to them from a business side, but obviously I know they play a lot of shows. They put out good music that's got really good audio quality for being a local band. So I love those guys. I've said it before on this show, but yeah, so that's one for me. My other one I've talked about a lot, and they're not local. Matter of fact, I don't even really know where they're from, but it's Until I Wake. They have put out some shit over the past couple years, but never really blown up. They've been on some medium-sized show bills, I would say. Jake at Metalcore Highlights and I were talking a couple weeks ago. He went to one of their shows, and he said you can tell that they haven't been doing this very long. He's like, it wasn't a bad show by any means. He's like, but you can tell that they're still in this, like local band vibe. Matter of fact, I think they were playing with Era. So,
oh shit, okay.
They were like the very first band to play that night. But it was at a medium-sized venue. That was my boots. Sorry, I didn't fart.
I heard a
that's
little
where-
squeal.
No.
There's a mouse.
But Jake said that he said it was so funny. He's like, there was this girl in the front row that was like going nuts the whole time and was singing, knew every word to every song, and all this, was just by herself having a good time. And then as soon as the set's over, their front man, who's a really skinny dude that's got pipes, long hair, and same thing, you'd see him be like,
Yep.
that dude screams in a metal band. He said he walks up, grabs that girl's hand, and says, come on, babe, let's go. It was his girlfriend. She's just in the front row losing her shit, and like that local band vibe, right?
Yeah, that's
Love
cool.
it.
And he's like, it was just so cool to see. And I love their music. They're very vocally driven. But I've never heard a song that they've put out that I don't like. So that's another band that I think is doing really good. They've put out like 2 albums in 2 years. They're putting out content constantly. And in between albums, they're dropping singles or EPs or something. Great music videos. And I think they're, I haven't seen them live, but Jake said that it seems like they're starting to get their bearings on playing bigger live shows. So guys that aren't necessarily local anymore, but I think that have done a good job of making that transition from local to getting on some bigger bills.
Mm-hmm.
So I know, what do you guys think about both of those bands, Waste of White and Until I Wake?
Absolutely love Waste of White. Played a few shows with those guys. Really good dudes. A shit ton of potential. They just need to keep playing out, keep getting their name out there because they're young and they got a bunch of things in front of them. And then Until I Wake, took me a minute to get into them for whatever reason, but
Speak freely.
yeah, no, I like them. I think for some reason, like the over-processed sound to me gets a little old, but I'm a hypocrite because there's other bands that have a super.
Bro, you listen to Periphery
Right.
religiously.
Yeah, about every day almost.
God, I hate Periphery. Go ahead.
No, I really like Until I Wake. Not one of my favorites, I would
Sure.
say, but they're pretty damn good. Tyler.
So
Did you
yeah.
need an introduction? Say my name, bitch.
No, I didn't know what I was supposed to talk about.
No, I mean, you've played with Waste of White. What do you think about their path and just kind of where they're at and how they got there and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, the first time we played with them, I was like, fuck yeah, dude, these guys sound good.
Yeah.
I like their songs. We talk about writing good songs. I think they do. I thought what always catches my attention is bands that I think would sound good on a bill with us
Yeah.
because we don't fit in. We're always at a show where we're too soft, or we're at a show where we are way too heavy.
Yep.
And finding these bands that are out there in this in between is like, fuck yes. So like that's why I really enjoyed Fate of Orion. I felt that they were in that in between with us, and I was like, dude, shows with them is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Desolate, though they are more, a little softer into that like grungy kind of sound, I think they fit on a bill with us really well. And so yeah, Waste of White was one of those bands that caught my attention, and I started paying attention. And yeah, I mean, they do more than we do.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Until I Wake? You like some of their shit, don't you?
Yeah, so I think you were sending them in the chat for a couple of weeks. You just kept dropping these songs, and I was not in the metal vibe. I go through these mood swings with music. So,
ooh, that's a great next topic. Go ahead.
Oh, sweet.
I go through these mood swings with music, and so I wasn't in the mood for metal. And so you were sending them, and I'm like, I don't want that.
I don't want that.
And then I got back into a metal mood, and I was like, man, let me go back through our chat. So I'll do that once in a while. I'll just go back through our chat because I won't be in the mood for whatever the fuck y'all sending me. And then I'll be like, okay, well, now I'm ready for it. So go back through, and I start listening through those songs, and it gave me exactly what I wanted.
Mm-hmm. It's like that good in-between ground.
It
It's
is.
They're not, I mean, they've got some songs that are straight up metalcore where it's real fast and they're screaming like the whole time. But then they've got some songs that are nice and slow and real pretty melodic vocals and all that shit. So that's kind of why I like them, is they give me that Bad Omens
I was
blend.
gonna say, I would think they would
It
be
is.
similar to
It's that Bad
Yeah, I
Omens
mean,
blend.
Listen to Screaming Evidence.
It's the same thing.
That's the type of shit I want, and there's not that much out there.
You want to be able to account for music mood swings. So speaking of music mood swings, I think we all go through them. And not just the three of us, I'm sure all the listeners do too, where you have moments where, or days, weeks, whatever, where you are all about a certain genre and then you get burnt out on that genre, or something you hear just kind of catches your attention and you're like, now I'm in this vibe. So like, Preston, what makes you go through one of those mood swings? And like, typically, what is it from? Like, what do you go from metalcore to hip hop? Do you go from, just kind of explain your thought on that?
Yeah, I don't know that I know best how to explain it, but it's really when I click shuffle in the morning on the way to work, it's like, oh yeah, I want to listen to that. And sometimes it'll take me a minute and a half to get through a song for it to finally like, yeah, I guess this is what I want to listen to for now.
It's weird how it works.
But because of shuffle, a metalcore band will be next after an alternative band, or it'll be J. Cole, and then it'll be Killswitch or something of that sort. So I go through those mood swings, and when I do, I typically, go to a specific album I want to listen to. Well, I do also have certain playlists that I can switch back and forth between as well. But No, I think that's something that the listeners and all of us can relate to. Is we all go through those mood swings.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and mine's probably the exact same way where I'll just, I hit shuffle, and normally it's always a metalcore song that comes on first, something just a little heavier. But then I'll get to like a crossfade song,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, dad rock. And that was like this past week I sent you guys something. It might have been crossfade, and then it was like Dad Rock Tuesday.
Yeah,
I mean, we
it
all
was.
we all started.
Yep.
That's the thing is like our music mood swings can sometimes affect the whole group. Like if one of
Sometimes
us,
we just end up on the same cycle.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, it's like a menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
We are women.
yeah,
We're allowed.
we
to
are
be,
women and we
we're
are
allowed
free.
to be nowadays.
Yeah, we're allowed to be women these days. So I think we all kind of
What was that?
we are women and we are free.
All right.
Oh God! But no, it's fun to go on those those bipolar music mood swings, because when I get
That's a
hooked,
mouthful, dude.
yeah, sometimes I'm good with mouthfuls.
Very similar to a
Fuck,
mood. Very similar to a mood ring. Shout out mood ring.
bro! I just said I'm good with mouthfuls. Fuck,
My
Tyler, talk. I'm done.
I just need like 10 minutes,
Give me
guys.
this- Hey, Mike.
Inside joke.
Inside joke.
Tyler, give me a mouthful.
Oh.
Drink your tea and shut up.
Here's where everybody
Look.
goes. Pause. I'm out.
So look, as far as those mood swings go,
So look, I'm into mouthfuls too.
I
hey,
quit.
you said give it to you, so I'm gonna give it to you.
I
real quick.
quit.
Um,
I'm gonna go play bass.
Play that condom, boy.
God damn it. Are we ever gonna be able to get back to the main point? Music mood swing.
Music mouthfuls, give them to me.
please, sir.
We're gonna turn into tongue singers here soon.
I think we just became Sleep Token.
Yeah.
We're starting a Sleep Token parody band called Sleep With Me
Look,
Token.
my ribs hurt. We're gonna have to chill out. All right.
Okay. Comedy interlude's over.
All right. So look, mood swings.
Yep.
Like I said, I'll go through these time periods where I do not care to listen to metal at all, and there's times where I'll go through like a full week of like late 2000s, early 2010s, like punk, kind of that revival of like Midwestern punk and stuff. Kind of that poppier
Like
feel. There's a band that came out later than that period, but like neck deep.
Okay. I know where you're going now.
That's a band
Those-
Derek had
Yeah,
mentioned
Derek
on
had
it,
talked
yeah.
about, and there was was it Story of the Year? No, there was another one he'd talked about. But anyways, in that same realm of
Yeah.
punk type vibe.
And then I'll go to like early 2000s punk, like Silverstein.
there you go.
Yeah.
Like early Thrice, shit like that. And then
You ever delve into Rise Against?
of course I have.
Do you
Okay.
think they're punk though?
They
I
they
feel
are
like
very
they have
punky.
a punky
Really?
feel.
When they first started, it was very punk.
That's when she said, "I don't hate you." Like that's not punk.
You gotta go back to
Okay. Like
early.
Okay.
I forget the name of the album. Appealing to Reason, maybe.
Sounds
I was gonna say
familiar.
because they just never, which I never listened. The only time I discovered them was hearing them on 99.7 The Blitz, and I really
That's
liked
when
them
they
'cause
started getting more.
they were like arena rock.
Yeah, it stopped being as punky and started becoming more like rock.
Yeah.
And I like that
They kind
too.
of reminded me of Hoobastank for some reason.
But I
like
think
those two
that's
bands.
a band that relates to one of the topics we have later,
Okay.
as far as like. All right, no sneak peeks.
No sneak peeks, but I get what you're saying.
But anyway,
clueless.
You always are.
yeah, then I could switch it all the way up, and here lately I've been getting into rap.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Like,
NF started
I
it
was gonna
for
say like
me,
NF type
and then I
stuff.
started giving a couple other artists a try.
I feel like you would like Jeezy,
Mm-hmm.
Logic, even maybe.
I told you about Logic
you
recently.
sent me a couple songs recently.
You weren't crazy
and
about
I feel
it.
like
I
you.
weren't crazy about them, but
You're more like
it's-
straight up hip hop.
it's really
Post
hard.
Malone. Do you like Post?
No,
Okay.
I can't
love
stand
Post.
it.
I love Posty.
Love him.
He's so versatile, bro. Like he
I
does
just can't
country shit.
stand
He
it.
does. He originally was like a metal artist.
As a musician,
He's super.
like, what's up, dude?
Yeah.
You doing the damn thing.
But you mean like his music? You're
his
just like,
music? I'm just not a fan of.
He did a Nirvana cover that I thought was better than Nirvana.
Yeah, it's pretty damn good.
It was good.
What song was that?
Then he like played on a pink guitar.
Was it
Yeah,
all apologies?
metal.
No,
as
it was it was the one that what's his name from Puddle of Mud, like have a clue. I do. And like he got roast. I mean, absolutely
Oh
torn
my
to shreds.
God.
It was that song, I think.
He
I can't-
got
Hold
ripped
on, I'll pull it
apart,
up.
dude.
He
I
got-
don't think it was that.
Maybe it
song.
wasn't. I thought
That
it
was like a career ender.
Well, he'd had many of those before, but
Yeah, but that was like the nail in the coffin.
yeah, that was bad. That was, dude, I can't.
Heart
care-
shaped box. A few of them. He did Lithium, Come As You Are, and Heart Shaped Box.
Posty.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. But
Oh, and then he also covered Rooster. Why the fuck haven't I come across
that's the
that?
one I just heard that he did. He covered Rooster, and it was fucking sweet.
I mean, I'll check it out.
But yeah, that one cover was, and it was live. It was like a Sirius XM like live recording, and the other dudes that are playing with him are going like, "What? Oh no, baby, what did you do?" It was bad.
Dude, if I were in that situation, it seemed like dude was just having a bad day, like vocally, because he does sing better than that.
Yeah, he does. I love Puddle of Mud.
Yeah, I
But,
loved him
like,
growing up.
and I played.
You want
with
to talk
him.
about angst and attitude?
Like I played with him. I've
Right.
seen them live, and it's not that.
No.
So he had to have just been having a bad vocal day,
Yeah.
and it's like, do I just stop and save myself the embarrassment, or
Do I keep going?
do
Stay
I?
committed.
Does the show go on?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, and you hear examples of it a lot with like people be like, man, I went and seen this band and they sucked live. Vocalists sucked. It's like, man, you know how hard it is for vocalists? Like, I don't think we could go out and tour and play back-to-back shows. We would
Mm-mm.
have to have at least a day in between because of how hard it is to do some of the vocals that we do. I'm not a great screamer. Like, I can't scream tonight and then go tomorrow night and scream again. I just can't do it. I'm
I
not
think-
screaming entirely correctly.
You would
Yeah.
sound like you had a
It's-
mouthful.
Yeah. So, I feel bad for the dude, but that was
Yeah,
bad.
that was bad. I think that all these big bands, right, that are torn, they've been torn for years. It's just like muscle memory and stamina that you build up. It's like everything's a muscle, man. The more you fine tune it and work it, the more used to playing back-to-back shows or doing tours you're gonna get. But still, the vocalists especially, they got nights where like, bro, my voice is gone. I can't sing. Noah Sebastian from Bad Omens had that like right before Knotfest, like where he's like
Mhm.
told the crowd, you guys are gonna have to sing for me, pretty much. And
But then you have like a freak of nature like Eddie Vedder that smokes like a pack or two of cigarettes a day
That's the
and
key.
still doing it.
I think the drugs keep him going. Do it
I
for the
mean-
drugs. I mean, that's not a Pearl Jam song, but yeah, you know what I mean.
Well, and I think it's another reason why we hear these mixed like stories of. I've heard that Chevelle. I've had people tell me, "Yeah, man, I went and seen Chevelle and they fucking sucked." And then I've heard the exact opposite, that they put on an amazing live show. I've heard the same thing about Breaking Benjamin before.
I've heard the same thing about Screaming Evidence before.
Oh yeah. Yep. And then I mean, recently we talk about a band that me and Kyler like to listen to, Invent Animate. Love their stuff. Well, me and you went and seen them, and dude sounded like shit live.
It was bad.
And then I watched another YouTube video hoping for something more positive, and unfortunately in this YouTube video, and I don't think it was the show that we were at, he didn't sound very good at this show either. So yeah, I mean, that would be tough because you obviously want to put on the best show you possibly can every single night, but you're limited vocally.
Yeah, and I think maybe it is a situation because that's the primary reason I don't listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
After seeing it live.
It's just like a tainted feel.
Is it something where maybe it's not actually too much for him to do? It's just too much for him to do night after night after night after night.
Thank you for just giving me a new this or that.
Because
You only got to come up with one, bro.
Yeah, but I need to figure out
For
which
me.
one.
I think that if you listen to a lot of bands, especially metalcore bands that have maybe some real difficult vocal parts, they'll change it up live so they can better perform it.
Mm-hmm. I've seen Jamie from Polaris do it.
Yeah. Ronnie Radke does it. Because he'll go from rapping to screaming to singing. Like, he's all over the place, so he will change up. Now, he's got some help backup vocal wise in his band, but like there's a lot of vocalists that will change up how a song was recorded when they're playing it live so they can actually fucking perform it.
Right.
And some listeners are like, what the fuck? That's not how it sounds on the record. Well, you go do that live every night. If it's some wild ass scream or whatever.
Yep. That's why I started screaming for the band.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because Sean was just like, dude, I can't hit all these high notes and do all these screams, and we're playing for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm going balls to the wall for an hour straight. I'm like, well, I guess I can try. And the first year of it was so bad, dude. It sounded horrible.
Yeah, you've grown a lot as a screamer. A lot.
I still got a lot of way to go.
Well,
the problem is I just don't practice. The only time I practice is when we have band practice, and sometimes, like last practice, we didn't even do any vocals.
Mm-hmm.
So the next time we practice, if we practice tomorrow, we start screaming and singing, and I'm going to sound like a fucking dying goat.
you got to do what I do, bro. And practice in the truck, in the car.
Yeah,
We talking about practice?
Man, we
Well,
talking about
it's
practice, man. Not a game. Not a game. Not a game. We talking about practice, man. Go ahead.
But anyway,
Shout out Allen Iverson.
yeah, with that, it's like screaming, man. I have to be in a certain headspace, and I have a hard time getting in that headspace unless I'm in here and I have the whole band with me, and we're all just going at it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do need to get over myself and start fucking practicing, run something, some songs through the stereo here and set up a mic and work on screaming with the songs.
Well, I think it's time to jump into this or that. And like we said at the beginning of the show, we're doing
Be
it a little
gentle.
different this time, huh?
Be gentle.
Okay.
Don't give him
I'll
a
spit on it.
mouthful.
I'll spit on it. I'll spit, bite the pill, I'm going in dry. Like we said at the beginning of the show, we're going to personalize them. I've got one for Tyler. Tyler's got one for Preston. Preston's got one for me. So who wants to go first? Mine, I feel like
All
mine
right.
needs to wait.
Preston.
This or that.
I really couldn't think of anything really good for you,
Bitch.
but I think this one will actually be tough.
Oh.
Periphery or Moths to Flame.
Mm-hmm.
You can listen to the one, the other one is gone forever.
Well, that one's easy.
It's easy for me.
Is it?
Pretty easy.
Okay, choose your next words wisely, friend.
You might get something thrown at you, bro. It's
Smalls.
this easy.
Okay. Whew,
It's
okay.
Smalls.
Okay.
Yeah.
You would
They
listen
write
to
better.
Moths?
I mean, I love Periphery.
Fuck progressive
I
metal.
really love Malls. To me, they write better songs.
I'm disappointed in my ability to come up with a this or that challenges someone.
You better hit a home run with your hot take
Well,
tonight.
what's weird with me with Periphery, how do I want to say this or explain it?
You get in like, we talked about mood swings. You get in like periphery mode.
Yeah,
where,
that's
like,
kind of
that-
how it is. Yeah,
That is
yeah.
like all you want to
Yeah.
listen to is periphery. And because you'll send like several songs in the chat
Mhm.
throughout the day. You're
Yep.
like, Preston's in a periphery vibe.
Yeah,
So I feel like that's how you are with them. But like Mauves, like, bro, that's like an everyday listen for,
It is-
for
yeah.
all,
Yep.
all,
Yep.
all three of
That's
us
a good way
probably.
to
Every
explain
day
it.
or every other day listen. I mean,
Yep.
definitely weekly. You're jamming.
It is a pretty easy go-to in the gym.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. I can't flow to the songs like of Periphery like I would.
because
or
they don't
like I
play
do,
on rhythm.
like Moz.
They saw that metronome and said, nope.
They
Yeah,
are
I
they
can't
are
flow
playing
to it
on,
as much.
rhythm. It's just
It's
doing a lot
it's
of
just-
off rhythm.
yeah,
It's
it
an
is
off rhythm thing and
different.
it drives me nuts.
Genty.
Which speaks to their
That's
own
the
talent.
thing. I don't like genty. I don't like progressive metalcore. That's just not my thing.
So yeah, I guess you're gonna listen to like Moss to Flames and everything Periphery goes away forever.
Yeah, I mean that's tough hearing it said that way, but it would be Moz.
Wait till he hears mine. He's gonna fucking have an aneurysm. You know, you want to go next?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready.
So mine for Kyler, and I had a couple, but I felt as if my first one wasn't good enough, and honestly I don't know that my second one is good enough. But I think it'll before you react and tell me, think about it
Okay.
for a second.
Okay.
Monument's latest album, okay,
Yeah.
or Animate's latest album.
Oh God, that's so hard because I've had longer to like digest the
Yep.
Monuments album.
Yep.
And because the Invents is new, so Monuments came out last year, right?
Yep.
Oh fuck me, dude. I gotta be careful because like recency bias and shit. Like
Bro,
because
that new record's fucking sweet.
the Invent one.
Yes.
Yes, it is. It's fucking disgusting. Oh my God.
But that Monuments record's bad as hell too.
Okay. Man, and I'm trying to just keep it to those two albums because in my opinion, everything before this new album for Invent is not very good.
Yeah.
Like once they went to UNFD, they got like way better. Their production got better. They were writing better songs. And Monuments has been good for years with two different vocalists.
But I think
But I'm trying
we
to-
agree that In Stasis was their best for us
Yes.
as listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It's hard. I'm trying to just telling myself to just think about those two records.
I'm
Nothing
glad
before.
It is hard for them.
Oh, fuck me, dude. I can only listen to one,
Yep.
and the other one disappears.
Gone.
Bye-bye.
Monuments.
Yep.
I just, bro, probably because it's been around longer. I've been listening to it longer, and I still listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me how great of an album it is that I still listen to it when I've been like binging it for a year now or 9 months, however long it's been out. And I still go back to if one of those songs comes on, I'm like, especially fucking Arch Essence.
Yeah, that sounds
Um,
sweet.
So yeah, I would very, very tough decision because I love this new Invent. I am jamming that daily, but I would have to go with the Monuments album.
Yep. I agree.
Would you say the same thing?
I said,
yeah.
yep.
Yeah, that one was tough. You ready to die?
And depending on how this goes, I think we need to do another round.
Well, we can do
Yeah,
another
this
round.
or that,
This is
yeah.
fun. You ready?
No, but
Okay.
I mean,
Just like the same thing as with us. You get one forever, and the other disappears forever.
I'm fucking stressed.
You want me to rip it off like a Band-Aid, or you
Just
want me
rip
to
it
go
off, bud.
Thrice or Greyhaven?
Ooh. Ooh.
One Goes Away Forever.
Holy shit, I wouldn't know what to choose.
He's wearing a Grey Haven shirt right now. For everybody not watching on YouTube. Shout out everybody that watches us on YouTube every week. Appreciate you
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
He's over here contemplating his life right now.
Yeah.
I feel like I
So we
can't
got going
speak
on this
today
week.
for some
So
I figured we'd just shoot the shit while he's
reason.
I'd have to go with Thrice.
Okay. I'm surprised but not surprised.
Because, I mean, Thrice has done so much more for me. And
They were your first love.
I think they actually weren't. It was Smile Empty Soul, and it was years before Thrice kind of
Oh, really?
took the slot.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So,
What album did it?
Artist in the Ambulance.
No, it was when they dropped the Hurricane album.
Yep. Sadly enough, that's how I truly got into Thrice. My dad showed me that song Hurricane, and I'm like, what the fuck? Who is this vocalist?
So yeah, when that album hit, and Smile Empty Soul, the last couple albums they've put out, I just didn't love the way I loved their older stuff. And it's not even like it's changed.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that my musical palette kind of changed.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, Thrice with that new album, I was like, bro, they got to be number one.
Okay.
They have to be. And Grey Haven.
What if Grey Haven drops another banger and you had to choose it? Say it's a year from now.
But Thrice has so many bangers. And if I go back to Thrice's old stuff, like early 2000s, the real punk kind of stuff, it's very similar to what, like, you can tell that Grey Haven pulled influence from that type of music.
Yeah.
So I still get some of that, what I would get from Grey Haven from Thrice. I'd have to go with Thrice.
Okay. Well, I got another one for you while you two were thinking of one more.
Mm.
If you're ready. Now, I probably shouldn't have gone.
We had to get up for this one.
I probably shouldn't have gone Thrice in the first one because I kind of knew that was the way it was going to go. So while Preston's thinking of another one for me, I'm going to spin it around for you and ask you one that I think will be tougher. Norma Jean or Grey Haven?
You
Yeah.
asked me this earlier, and I never came to a conclusion.
You get one, and one goes away forever. Never to be heard from again. And both of them have recently dropped new records, so
And
Both-
they were both fucking amazing.
both
are
have
bad
been
as
around
hell.
for a long fucking time. One longer than the other, but
Well, Grey Haven hasn't been around nearly as long as Norma Jean.
hell, I thought they've been doing it for like 15 years.
No.
Oh, okay. I know which one I would pick, but that's because I don't care for one. Boy, this is what I should have gone with first because it's really, really got you in your feels right now.
So, with Grey Haven, they're more wild, like untamed, fucking just
Yep.
all out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I enjoy listening to the vocals more with Grey Haven than with Norma Jean. Not because he's a better screamer, but he alternates more.
Yeah.
And I'm more into the singing with emphasis, or using screaming for emphasis kind of thing. And that's what he does. But Norma Jean, man,
They rip, bro.
those screams
They're a fucking mouthful.
have carried my soul through such torment for so long.
You gotta pick one.
You got 5 seconds.
I
3,
Just spit it out.
2,
Norma Jean.
1.
Okay.
Oh,
Norma Jean. Okay. I gotta give it to Norma Jean only because I mean, right now they got more albums, and I can go back and listen to the old Norma Jean. I can listen to the newer Norma Jean. There is the differences between them. Each one gives me a little something different.
Sure.
Easier to kind of fit my mood with them.
That was a tough one for you. I'm sorry I put
don't
you
like
through
you.
that.
I don't
Yeah,
like
I didn't
you right
figure you
now.
would after that. So now it's your turn to think of another one for Dipshit over here. So Dipshit, what you got for me?
I got a couple.
Oh God. Lay it on me.
Okay. So you know Landmarks' latest album. It was solid,
Yeah.
right? Damn good. We were
Yeah,
impressed.
loved it.
We were impressed. Okay.
Fucking filthy. God.
Yeah.
Yes.
Landmarks or Old Novelists?
Oh, fuck you, dude. Like Mateo novelists,
Mateo Novelists.
like noir novelists.
Yep. Noir and the album before that.
Oh my God. And that sucks because
And keep in
they're
mind
so similar.
how good that latest Landmarks album was. Because I know probably originally you were thinking Novelist, but remember how good that Landmarks record was. Or is.
Ugh. I mean, I think I was more obsessed with novelists. Like,
Mhm.
you and me both were like fucking,
Yeah, Jeremy told us about him.
oh
and we
my
lost
God,
our
just
cool.
hooked on those
Yep.
dudes. And then when Mateo left Novelists, Landmarks kind of comes out of nowhere with this record, and I feel like they're very similar. They're both French bands for one, but they're very similar in style. And that Landmarks album was just, whew, I mean, indescribably heavy.
Yeah.
Damn. If you put a gun to my head and I had to pick, I'm gonna.
He said, "I'm gonna pick."
I got it.
He
I
went in
gotta
with
go-
such confidence,
I did.
and then
shit the
hesitated.
bed. Yeah. I gotta go novelist. And I think it's because of the level of obsession I had with them with
Yep.
those first couple albums and EPs. And like today, bro, Eyes Wide Shut came on and I about punched my windshield out because that
Yep.
shit goes so fucking hard.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go novelist because of what they
Okay.
did for
I
me.
am a big fan.
And
of
I was thinking
novelists.
you were going to go that way, but I wanted
It's
you.
hard.
I
That was
wanted
harder
you to
than the last
remember
one you
How
asked
good
me.
that fucking latest Landmarks album
That was
is.
harder than than the first one you asked
Okay.
me. So
Okay.
yeah.
Should have went with that one
Yeah,
first.
no, it's good. Oh, well, the second one I asked, he's giving you like evil eyes,
then.
bro.
Oh, fuck.
The floor is yours, good sir.
You thought the last one was hard.
movements
Oh,
or thrice.
oh fuck. Woo! Oh my God.
Thrice. I don't
Still
like movements.
life
Beggars
or gray
Oh,
or the gray.
the gray. Oh my God.
Thrice for me. I don't like movements.
Mm.
Can't get into them.
So are you talking those songs or the bands?
The bands.
Hey, Mike.
That's a mouthful, man.
he's gonna
So I'm thinking
beat that
Feel
dead horse
Something.
for a long
I'm
time.
thinking Feel Something, the album,
Yep.
compared to Beggars.
Did you really get into major and minor?
It's been a while, so I'd have to go back through it.
Dude, there's some songs on there
I know there is.
that would literally knock your socks off. If you like Beggars, that album is a must re-listen for you.
God, dude.
You got to pick one.
Thrice.
Why?
Just the consistency, man. There's so much different of pieces of their stuff. Yep. There are songs like the song Still Life. Jesus, I'm so bad at remembering names of songs.
You both are terrible at that.
I don't know why. Give me
Getting
a
old.
second.
Speaking of which, happy birthday to both Tyler and Preston. Wish these guys a happy birthday. Another year older. Tyler, 30 is right there, buddy.
Don't talk to me like that.
Yeah. I mean, we're only a year behind you, my guy. But I am the youngest guy sitting in the room. I still am 27. So, feels good.
Bask in it, bro.
Feels good. Feels
We're
great.
both losing our fucking
We
hair,
are losing
too.
our hair. I just got some Bosley, Trying
Yeah,
to get that
so
shit back.
I'm thinking about songs like Still Life, The Weight off of Beggars, Circles, Wooden Wire. And I know the album Feel Something by Movements. Every damn song on that album to me is amazing. I'd have to go Thrice just because of the consistency and the versatility. And I would say the last two singles by Movements, 3, Cherry something, Cherry, the one that's probably a year old.
I know what you're talking about. And then they had like Barbed Wire Body.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
And those songs are decent.
Thrice
But
is
it's
super versatile.
slightly bad
So
taste in
versatile.
my mouth with Movements going a little more poppy.
Yeah, we talked about that before.
Yeah.
Excuse me, before the show, I asked you what you thought of their 2 new songs, and you said that they were.
It's just a little too poppy for me.
Sure.
I love the Feel Something, and the latest album was good as well.
I think it was like Skin to Skin or something.
I know that's a song on there. And you could feel that vibe changing in that album, but not as much.
Yeah, and you guys know I'm not a big Thrice fan by any stretch of the imagination, but like I do love the Artist in the Ambulance album, which is like their most downloaded album on Apple Music. So I don't know if it's technically their most popular one, but it's obviously one of their most popular ones, and it's a little heavier. The first song you ever showed me off of that was Silhouette, which is fucking yeah, it's fucking sweet. I appreciate how versatile they are. They're able to do so many different
And
things.
they're fucking amazing live.
They're so
Holy
unique,
shit.
and they're kick-ass songwriters. So I would agree with you going Thrice.
Yeah, it's Thrice.
Time for heavy metal hot takes.
Can I get a hot tub?
Can I get? Ow! Get in the hot tub. Preston, you have a pretty good one that is going to harken back to the very first episode of the Screaming Idiots show, and any chance I get to talk about this topic, I'm going to take it. And I think over dinner last night we talked about, man, we need to get more controversial. We need to piss some people off.
Yep.
So I know Preston's hot take will, mine probably will too. I'm sure Tyler will cook something up good, but Preston, let's hear it, buddy.
Yeah, so a lot of people are a fan of this band, and I don't know.
They're one of the most popular bands.
I don't know how
there.
they built their popularity the way they did, because I was even a fan when I was a kid. But Avenged Sevenfold fucking sucks. Yeah, they suck.
And you're not just saying now. You're saying
no.
Period.
I look back at it and I'm like, you had songs like Nightmare and Shepherd of Fire. There are a few songs, and of course, the way I found out about Avenged, and I'm the weirdo that wasn't listening to them before, but like Almost Easy and those songs, because they were on Rock Band, they do have a few good songs, but they're not, to me, they're not what people act like they are.
Bro, when you talked about that last night, when we were sitting at dinner last night, I immediately went back and was like, bro, they're not
that good.
Like, they're not good. The only reason that, like, Sinister Gates carries that fucking band.
Yeah.
Like, he can shred. He is a hellacious guitarist. And he has a lot of classical influence, too, with a lot of his scales that he plays and shit. Very Yngwie Malmsteen-esque. He fucking carries them. And when I started thinking back to some of the stuff, because I was saying, well, I used to listen to him, too.
Yeah. We love that album with Nightmare and
the Nightmare album.
Yeah.
Hail to the King.
Yeah.
Was on a different record. I think the same record as Shepherd of Fire. That album might have been called Hail to the King. I can't remember. But M Shadows sucks so fucking bad. He is awful.
Yep.
He cannot sing. Back in the day, he could scream a little bit, but that dude he sure as hell can't now. I mean, we talked about that on episode 1 with that new song of theirs that nobody's listening to.
I don't know what made them think. Or
Oh,
what
this
went
sounds
through
good.
Their head
This
to
sounds good.
fucking
People love
release
this.
it, dude. It was
People love
bad.
this. It's what, like fucking Ted Bundy. Yeah, I'll kill 30 women. Nobody will care. It's fine.
Yeah, they'll love it.
Yeah, they'll love it. It's so beautiful as she's being strangled. God, I'm fucked up. Quit. Anyways, yeah, the more I think back to it, you know, they do have a couple songs that I'm like, yes,
They
this
got some good riffs.
at the
Yeah.
again, Sinister Gates
Yeah.
carries that band, but they are not good at songwriting, at music structure. Their choruses all sound the same, and M Shadows is singing through his fucking nose, and I can't. I'm
It's
sure
like
that'll.
cringeworthy shit, dude.
It is, dude. It's very his vocals especially are so cringy, and I hate being like that because he's a fucking cool ass dude.
Yeah.
Like if you listen to any interviews that he does, they're all super cool dudes. And I'm not taking anything away from them as people or from their success because they got way fucking more money than I'll ever have in my goddamn life.
Yep.
But they found success. They found a niche. They have a fucking super loyal fan base. They're like Slipknot, bro. They have a crazy loyal fan base. But for me, I do not think that they're good.
What's your take, Redbeard?
Arrgh.
I said what I needed to say
An episode.
in episode 1. You know, you guys can go back, listen to episode 1, and listen to me tear them apart. But yeah,
you did eviscerate Avenged Sevenfold.
I didn't even try though.
Yeah. I just don't. And there's other bands out there like that I think, God, they're not good. They're just so cookie cutter and fucking blah, and people love them. And I just
because so much of the music industry is just treating it like it's treating bands like they are a product. Like this is just a product line. Just like any other business. You know, fuck, Campbell's Soup put out the chunky soup line. All right, well that's
good shit.
Avenged Sevenfold right there.
Well, then I guess I like Avenged Sevenfold.
No,
Donovan McNabb.
You know what I mean? But like, they're just a product line, and they just want to squeeze as much revenue out of them as they can, and people listen to it. So, you know, trying to take a band that can build momentum and squeeze a bunch of dollars out of that process, you're going to take bands that made it big and maybe they just don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
But because their name's on it, their brand is on the song, it's going to sell just because they have such a loyal fan base that will ignore the actual quality and just be like super happy that their favorite band put out a new song.
Well, and that's the thing with Avenged, because they were like dormant forever. And they came out with this new song and all their fans were like, yeah, it took me like 20 listens, but I like it. I think that there's going to be some cool stuff on this new album. I'm just glad they put new music out. That's all I kept seeing on social media. And I'm like, you don't like it. You just have nostalgia for the band. And you were so desperate for new music from them that when it came out and you heard it, you're like,
Speaking of nostalgia, I'm thinking of a certain riff of theirs.
But it's new Avenged Sevenfold. I like it. You know, they just like Preston with every fucking Periphery song, he bends himself over and rapes him with it until he likes it.
Takes me a while to like understand.
It took me like 3 months, but I finally got into it. Like that's kind of how I feel like these old school Avenged Sevenfold fans were with this new song, because they were so used to what they did before, and then they come out with this new fucking industrial sound, weird ass fucking tune. They're like making a stank face at it at first, going, but they were just so desperate for new music from their favorite band.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads me into my hot take, which is,
bring it.
You know, being desperate for music can be a bad thing, and you set your expectations too high. And a band that I did that for, that I loved dearly, and I still love all their old shit, is Parkway Drive. And you know, my hot take here is that Parkway Drive fell off a cliff after the Ire album. their last two have been so mundane and repetitive, and their newest one is like a rock album. It's not metalcore. And Winston, their front man, is a fucking howler, bro. Like they're like Carry On, Dark Days, all their old shit
Yes.
is disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm not saying bands aren't allowed to change their sound, but my eardrums are accustomed to a band sounding a certain way. And when they change the way that they sound, 9 times out of 10, maybe 8 times out of 10, I don't like it. And I don't know if that's because they didn't do a good job at it, or if it's just that they didn't do a good job of capturing my personal taste. So, like I said, the last 2 albums of theirs were just horrible to me. And every album before that was gold, bro. I mean, I have every one of those albums from Ire and back downloaded on my phone because they go hard as fuck.
It's like the Reverence album. They tried to give it this big giant stadium feel or something.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a few songs off that album, and it didn't do it.
The
for me.
Void is okay off that album. Is that the album with the reddish colored one?
Yeah, it's like a bunch of weird shit going on.
Yeah, Reverence. Yeah, so the Void's pretty damn good off of that one. But that newest one, Darker Still, still not very good. So I go back to Ire, Atlas, Deep Blue, Horizons.
Yep.
Kill
'Em With a Smile.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorites, and that's, one, Romance is Dead, and then It's So Hard to Speak without something.
So I'm sure that'll piss some diehard Parkway fans off, but yeah, I think they fell off a fucking cliff.
Absolutely.
And I think there's a lot of bands that have done that have changed their style, and they just, All That Remains is another one.
Yep.
We talked about how much they've done for the genre, but when they went for more of that rock vibe, man, it just like I was done with them.
Mm-hmm.
Done with them. And that was like their last 3 albums. It was just not good to me. I'm not saying it's not good music. It's just when I'm used to a band sounding this way, I don't like change. Okay? Asking Alexandria, they went rock, and it's still good rock music, but they were straight up crabcore, bro. They were like dark, heavy,
Mm-hmm.
and then they went rock when Danny Warsnop came back, and I'm like, I don't like it. Don't like it. They did just tease a new song that sounds heavy as fuck, though, so they might be trending back to their metalcore roots, I hope. But I'm sure you guys can think of a lot of bands that, maybe you were once real high on, that they did something and it just turned you off of them.
Crown the Empire is one that comes to mind.
Absolutely. God, they were so good, and they just... Amity.
Yep. Amity.
And that's another one that'll piss people off because their fans are super loyal too, and they are fucking...
They love everything
they are
do.
fucking terrible nowadays.
Yep. Dude, those new... Was it 3 songs I said
3
they
songs.
had dropped? Oh my God, they're fucking
atrocious.
horrible.
Dayseeker's another one.
Yeah. Yep. Dayseeker. That latest album sucks. Absolutely sucks.
Rory's sucking too much dick. Fucking... I hate that
He's
motherfucker.
getting mouthfuls out here.
Yeah, I can't stand that son of a bitch.
So we talked about them last episode, Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Their first 2 albums, bro.
Meteora and
amazing.
Hybrid Theory.
Then after that, it was like, eh.
That's fair. Did you not like Minutes to Midnight?
Eh.
Yeah, I like that one. It was more rocky.
Man,
Like-
I'm trying to think of other bands that did that.
There's so many, bro. Dude, Bullet did it for a little bit.
Yeah, hell yeah, they did. Of Mice and Men.
Yeah, that I try to be careful with shit like We Came as Romans, right? Well, Kyle Pavone died.
Yeah.
Okay, their frontman
Yeah.
died. So, or their clean vocalist died. So they obviously, changed their sound. Same thing with the Mice and Men when Austin Carlisle left. Right before the Restoring Force album, and you could tell, we talked about this before the show, you could tell on Restoring Force they were trying to stay in that same vibe and realm that they had been in with Carlisle.
Mm-hmm.
And Carlisle's like screams are so iconic,
Yeah.
you can't compete with that. So then they changed their style, and for me at least, it killed them for me. I listened to all of their old shit, Second and Sebring, everything off the Flood, 47 minutes for what, or 47 miles for what, all of that shit. I listened to all their old stuff and even some stuff off Restoring Force. But after that album, I'm out.
Dude,
And I know you love, especially Restoring Force.
so I have Restoring Force on my arm.
Mm-hmm.
And mainly the reason for that is, one, I loved the album, but that's the album that I used to help teach me how to scream.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was very meaningful to me, but that's the album I came into. So having that different perspective where I didn't start
On the Flood.
on
Yeah.
the Flood and stuff, I started at Restoring Force and then I backtracked. And going into it that way, I love both.
I was gonna say,
But I
know
will
you
say
jam both.
there was a song that popped up here lately. I've been kind of stagnant on music, so I've just been going to my library and hitting shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
And then just kind of picking what mood, a song will come on and I'll be like, yeah, I'm feeling that mood. So I'll go find some shit around there. Well, a song of Mice and Men, like their
The self-titled
newest album,
the newest album.
came on,
Echo, the album Echo.
I believe
That's the
it is.
newest
I
album.
believe, and it was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what the fuck? This is not. But I never really dug into those albums.
And
I mean, there was
they signed with Sharptone before that record.
Mm-hmm.
I just think they're running out of songs to write.
Yeah.
Which is
And that's
unfortunate.
tough.
Yeah, it's
Because we've kind of, as a band, have reached that point where writing lyrics for songs is becoming harder and harder and harder because we've always relied on Sean. And like, dude's running out of stuff to write about. He's running out of influence.
Mm-hmm.
writer's block, bro. We talked about it
Yeah.
before the show.
Writer's block, man. It sucks. I think he's come out of it a little bit. He's starting to be more productive on that side. One of the reasons I'm super excited about having some of these newer songs recorded is that I can try to help.
Yeah.
But like, bro, you're doing it for a living. And it's like, I have to put new music
Yeah.
out there.
Mhm.
And I have to kind of keep within a certain cycle time frame.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on a crunch, writer's block be damned. I got to write a
Mhm.
song, and it's like, doesn't always come out so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think that there's a lot of bands that go through changes that, you could talk about how if a group has writer's block or they feel like they're in a rut and they can't do what they've been doing because they've ran out of material in which to do it. So they change their style up,
Or they get bored.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it happens. And I don't want to lose interest in bands that I've loved forever. And I try to keep an open mind when I listen to their shit when it changes, but I can't help what my music palette wants and likes and doesn't like. I can't force myself to like something that I'm just never going to like.
Dude, I had a hard time with Thrice's new album.
Did you?
Yeah.
I had
That
a real hard
surprises me.
time. There's only a couple songs on there I really care for.
Yeah. It happens, man, and it's we get stuck in. That's why I think bands like Polaris are so incredible because they changed my music palette.
Yeah. Yep.
Like there are certain bands that just were able to like revolutionize my musical palette as I've
Mhm.
gotten older, and that's why I hold them in such high regard. So, it's not uncommon for me to come across a band that I once loved that I just don't anymore. You got to be special to make me change with you. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And there's not very many bands out there that can do that. So it's unfortunate. Not saying that those bands aren't making good music, but it's just not for me. And I think we all have, and I know all the listeners have bands out there that they used to love that it just doesn't do it for them anymore. So it's unfortunate, but it's the way it goes.
Mhm.
All right, I'm ready for a humdinger of a T. Scott hot take.
Okay.
Here we go. Get your tissues ready.
I think the hardcore style music that I've been trying to get you guys into is just better than the metalcore shit.
Other
It's
than
just better music.
Other than
Wha-
Norman Jean and
Whoa.
Jean and Greyhaven, who are you talking about?
How is it better music? In which way are you referring? Just give me so I know how to respond.
So there's the bands like Norma Jean, Old Sleeper, The Chariot, a bunch of other bands that I can't really seem to remember their names. But it's just better fucking metal music, man. It's more, I know you guys don't like the rawness of it, but I think that's one of the things that makes it better, because metal's not supposed to be this clean thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's kind of bold to say what metal should be and what it shouldn't be.
You fucking gatekeeper.
Right. But like, man, we talked a little bit about like the overproduced stuff. That was one of the things that I had a hard time getting into metalcore, was because it was, to me, kind of overproduced stuff. And something about like listening to Norma Jean, just all the gain all the way up, and like their older stuff just sounds like they're in a fucking room raging. Like that room has got to be on fucking fire.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't, and I feel everything. I feel the angst. I feel the rage. I feel everything that they're trying to portray with their heavy ass music. And with metalcore, I don't feel it as much. There's not as much.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like.
So I think that almost goes back. I'm gonna go first because I'll forget my point if I
No, you're
don't.
good.
That almost goes back to the conversation we just had about music palettes and what really trips your trigger. And I get, when you talk about how hardcore metal makes you like feel, as it sounds like they're just in a room all together, just jamming a big wall of sound, all the gain, attitude, whatever, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
That does zero for me, personally. I don't want it to sound like they're all in a room together, just all the gain, volume knob ripped off with a fucking single mic sitting in the middle of the room. What gets me going and makes me like feel is I want to fucking hear every single piece of that band and be able to fully diagnose what they're doing and what's going on. Because that is what gets me going. Like these metalcore bands, especially the ones that, that I prefer, do such a great job of spotlighting each individual member of the band and what they're doing. And I feel like a lot of those hardcore bands operate, which is cool, but they operate as one unit, right? It is all one. They're driving towards the same goal. And it is all about the band and the sound that they're creating together. Whereas a lot of the metalcore bands that I listen to, it's individual. It's highlighting and spotlighting each individual member and what they're doing. And for me, that's so cool because it's really showcasing, and I'm not saying what, these hardcore bands are doing isn't, but it's really showcasing their talent. And I love the crisp, punchy guitar tone that just bites. It just bites really hard, and it's so tight and snappy. And a lot of those, and of course, being a guitarist, that's what I gravitate towards more often than not. And these hardcore bands, they're a little, like you said, it's all the gain. It's kind of fuzzy. It's just this big, spacey, wide sound that isn't as defined. And I struggle with that a lot. And that's why I think I struggled with Norma Jean early on, and why I struggle with Thrice, is there's just not enough definition for me. I still think they write amazing songs. But for me personally, I cannot agree with you that hardcore is better music. simply because of my own personal music palette. Not that hardcore doesn't write better songs or write better music, but just my ears personally, big as they fucking are, I prefer the more, I guess, polished, refined, isolated sound that I can dissect each piece of the band.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense, and yeah, that's why these hot takes are fun, because they are very subjective.
Yes. It makes you
But I
think, too, because you
think
got to back your shit up.
I think even with the songwriting at times, I gravitate more towards what I hear in like the hardcore kind of stuff. They get different. You know, they do a lot of different shit. They're not afraid to go outside of the typical verse chorus,
Mm-hmm.
verse breakdown chorus or whatever. They get a little weird with it at times. They do things kind of like with Periphery, where they won't play exactly the same riff the exact same way.
Mm-hmm.
They'll change it up a little bit here and there. Now they're still doing like the same shit, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They switch it up more, I think.
Polaris does that a lot.
Yes, they do. I think the Screamers, to me, I think they're doing a better job,
I agree with
because
that point.
with most of metalcore, it's that one solid scream the same way
Yep.
all the way through. Whereas
A lot of them, yeah.
in the hardcore, there's more inflection,
Mm-hmm.
there's more range, and it's more aggressive.
I would agree with that. It is definitely more aggressive, more raw. And that all goes back to that raw feel of those hardcore metal bands.
That's why I like Polaris so much.
Yeah,
Because Jamie is raw.
he's all over the place.
Yes.
And
It
it's
is
just
not
a real grainy feel.
Yeah, it's not a
Yeah.
perfectly refined scream.
It's not Era
It's-
Screamer.
It makes me want to stab
Bro,
someone
Jake's
on the
gonna come
street.
after you, bro. He was like, Preston's hating on my dude CJ.
Hey,
Like,
man, I'm just... dude's cool, and I liked it at first, but I listened to that last album from Era, and as I listened through it, I'm like, their Screamer sounds the same every single fucking song. It's like...
Jesse carries the vocals with Era.
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
Jesse's the real deal.
But Jamie,
That's a
like,
bone that I had... Yeah,
I get that, you know, and that is kind of what Tyler's referring to. Is there's a lot of these medical. That's why I loved Austin Carlisle of Mice and Men. That dude was all
Yes.
over the fucking
Yes.
place, bro.
All over
All
the place.
over the place.
Dude, listening to Norma Jean live and him just absolutely rip those vocals the entire
note.
time
Note for note.
without making a single mistake.
Yep.
And it was just pure awesomeness.
So you're gonna love this because I've seen a lot of live shows. I've seen a lot of metalcore bands live. Norma Jean put on the best vocal performance I've ever seen live.
It was incredible.
I mean, he never missed a beat, and
Nope.
he was just... I mean, I don't know how his throat didn't explode.
Yep.
And so for me to say, hey, this dude is the best fucking live unclean vocalist I've ever seen is saying something. So I tend more to agree with you on the vocal piece when it comes to screaming, because there is a lot of metalcore bands out there that got that cookie cutter ass fucking scream. That's why I like Chris Motionless from Motionless
Yep,
in White, bro.
yep.
His Noah Sebastian. There are certain vocalists that have crazy ass ranges. That's why, like, I'm very selective about like deathcore and death metal bands because they all sound the same.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at somebody like Chris Motionless that not only has a gorgeous singing voice, but has the incredible vocal range with his screams. Like that shit right
and
there.
his cleans.
That's what I said. Like he's
Yeah.
got gorgeous, a gorgeous singing voice, and he can be all over the place with his screams. That's right up my alley.
Yeah.
So, and hardcore vocalists are, especially like Greyhaven, like that dude is
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that piece I agree with you on. Preston, where are you at on this whole deal?
I would say I'm right in the middle.
Yeah.
But
You usually are.
I tend to lean right toward
You skier.
metalcore. I tend to lean more toward metalcore. Probably because it's like riffier and it's more stuff that I grew up to, stuff that I had always enjoyed. it also, your point brought up another hot take that I can either mention now or on another episode.
You'll forget it if you.
Yeah. But no, I lean more toward the metalcore stuff. But I'm also kind of annoyed with metalcore as of late because it just feels kind of dead to me.
Yeah.
As well.
It's been kind of a dry period. I mean, you got the new Invent album, Currents coming out with a new one. So, which by the time everybody listens to this, the Currents album will be out. So,
yeah,
we'll do some bonus content breaking down the Currents album on our Patreon. So make sure you check that out. Preston, send us home with another good hot take, buddy.
Yeah, so this is a band that, frankly, each of us have never discussed a whole lot together before, and maybe you haven't even heard of them. I'm not sure. But I know in the hardcore scene, from what I've seen,
Probably not.
from what I've seen, it's like these guys took over the scene. And on YouTube, I constantly see people commenting about them and stroking them. And it's the band Knocked Loose.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I
dude,
think
they're blowing up right now.
I think they fucking suck.
They do suck. They do
and
suck,
I know
yeah.
they have a very loyal fan base, and I've tried to get into them, and I've listened to song after song after song, just trying to find that song that might, be that gateway for me. I think they suck.
Yeah, they're kind of like blowing up on social media right now. Twitter, TikTok, they're all over
They
the
blew
place.
up, yeah.
And yeah, they're not good. I don't like them personally.
I can't speak to it a ton just because, like, I look back through my stuff and I only have one song from them. But I'd
Yeah.
have to hear it to remember what it was about
The
them that
vocalist
I
has this
added.
like super high raspy scream that gets on my nerves.
But I never dove into it. But I have been seeing them a lot.
Yeah,
He was featured on Motionless's new album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Slaughterhouse.
Slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
And his
Yep.
screams are fucking horrible.
I'll have to
They're
listen to
different.
it
They're definitely different.
and see.
Like, you can tell who Chris is and who that dude is because
Yeah.
they are not the same.
Hmm.
Even Ricky Horror, the rhythm guitarist for Motionless in White that does a lot of the vocals with Chris, like, that dude blows Knocked Loose's frontman away.
Yeah,
He's a
and
fucking backup
And I'm not
vocalist.
saying that they're bad musicians or anything like that, but just
No, be controversial to say they
I don't
fucking
know
blow
that
dank.
I don't know that they suck, but
I can't get into
I just
them.
don't like them. Do not like them. Can't get into them.
Time to shit on
Damn.
it was time to shit on another band. We hadn't shit on enough. Preston wanted to get more controversial, piss some more people off.
We're full of shit. We gotta release it somehow.
I mean, this show is called the Screaming Idiots Show. 'Cause
Yeah, call us.
Yep.
We might be fucking.
call a spade a
idiots, who
spade
knows?
here. So, well, anyways,
we do be dumb as hell. So
oh fuck yeah, that's what makes it fun.
yeah.
Well, we hope you and guys enjoyed our shit show of an episode because it was very scrummed together and we just kind of riffed it, right? That's what we said. Let's just riff, and that's what this episode was. So it's fun to do that from time to time. Structure gets boring, so. But anyways, thanks for listening, everybody. Wherever you're listening, we appreciate it. Couple reminders. If you're interested in binging all of our content all at once, having access to all the bonus content that we're going to put out, that we've been putting out on our Patreon, please go and check out our Backstage Pass. It's only $5 a month. Come check it out. Get instant access to all of our content all at once, all the bonus content. Be able to interact with us. Send us requests of topics that you would like for us to talk about because we're always wanting listener input. So check that out. If you want a t-shirt, please let us know on any one of our social media platforms and we will make sure that we get you a shirt. We've got several people that have already got some. They're fucking sweet. We think they're fucking sweet. I mean, we might be a little biased, but it's metal as fuck. So check out the Patreon. Keep watching on YouTube. We love all the views that we're getting on YouTube. That's fucking awesome. And appreciate the shit out of every one of you guys. And until next time, we are the Screaming Idiots, and we'll see you next week.
Peace, love, dove.